This is primarily a Pokemon channel, but I love to talk about all TCGs because I play multiple TCGs. The one that I play the most is actually Magic the Gathering. I love Standard, Commander, Modern. Magic has a lot of different options for players, and then Pokemon is kind of secondary. Below that, I also play One Piece, Digimon, and a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially GOAT format. And I've dabbled a bit in Flesh and Blood. I like Flesh and Blood as a game. I've just not played a lot of it. And so every now and then on this channel, I do want to do just quick updates on what TCGs are looking like as a whole. Things I'm excited about, things I've been disappointed with, and just more of experiences that I've gathered by talking to a lot more people that play TCGs, a lot more collectors, people that are competitive and casual. And I guess I want to start out with Magic the Gathering. Since that one is at the top of my list, I mentioned it first. So what's been going on with Magic this month? Well, a lot of people were burned on Lord of the Rings just because that was a very pricey, expensive product. A lot of people paid out the ass for it because they were searching for the One Ring, but the One Ring had already been pulled before the product even released, before it hit shelves, and was kind of secretly graded, and then eventually sold off to Post Malone, which is cool. I did like following the story of a guy that's been playing Magic for a very long time. Got some early access to some collector's packs and pulled the One Ring, which was a piece of cardboard that has changed his life forever. I liked the Lord of the Rings set as a TCG set. I think it accomplished what it was shooting for very well. The flavor of the cards was on point. The lore of Lord of the Rings was represented very well. Amazing artworks across the board. It was just too pricey. If you wanted to get a lot of these cards, you didn't really get the opportunity just because the prices were so high. And that is the position I found myself in. I was super excited about this set because I love Lord of the Rings. I was super hyped to get all the different artworks. I was even thinking about trying to do a master set, which I never do for Magic. But the price point really didn't allow it. I could not budget out buying just the singles. I couldn't budget out even doing, just like a draft with my friends because it was just all out of range. And so that was pretty disappointing. That actually put me off of buying sealed Magic product to open. In the meantime, I have picked up a few sealed products for Magic, but they're just shelf pieces. When it comes to opening Magic, the bulk is basically worthless at this point. And the odds of pulling cards that I want to see, cards that are playable or cards that are highly collectible, are so low that it's not worth it for me to buy packs. It's more of I'll wait till the single prices drop. So a lot of people were in the same boat as me. And the next set after that is Commander Masters, which it's got the Masters part of the title in there, so you already know it's going to be a premium product. But the thing I kept trying to warn people about is that this is a set that is reprints only. There's no new material in this set. A lot of cards got updated artworks, and whether or not you're a fan of the artworks kind of determines whether you care about them or not. I personally did not. There's maybe 3 or 4 cards that got new artwork that I was like, oh yeah, that's an upgrade. I want to swap out the artwork I already have for that one. For most of them, I was just like, yeah, this is it's kind of lazy. This is a lazy cash grab right here. Let's just reprint a bunch of cards, slap some new artwork you had sitting around on some of them, and market it as a premium set. And again, price tag really put people off of this product. People were most excited about the Commander decks. Not a whole lot of excitement that I was ever around or experienced for the draft or the set boosters. Most people said, I want to grab one of these 4 Commander decks. They seem cool. 2 most popular ones, Eldrazi and Slivers, both kind of released with a price tag over $100. And the cards inside, not really worth $100. For the most part, those Commander decks would have required people to swap out quite a few cards to really get to a more competitive level. And the big cards that were in the set are just the ones that are exclusive to those Commander decks. So if you're buying the Sliver Commander deck, the $100 that you're spending on that deck, you're really just paying for Biologist and for Sliver Grave Mother. two of the new spicy cards that are exclusive to that commander deck. And since they're released, we have seen prices drop on a lot of these. So much so that it looks like a lot of online sellers are just trying to offload this product at this point. It didn't release the way they thought it would, because if you're not familiar with distribution, you kind of have to order blind way ahead of time. So at the time of ordering, all of these markets just knew it's Commander Masters, people love Commander, it's a master set, probably going to sell well, and they went in on it, not knowing that the set itself isn't going to be all that exciting, and really all people are going to want to buy are 3 of the 4 Commander decks, maybe. And what ended up happening was people didn't want to pay that much for cards that weren't worth as much as the sticker price. And so now you see sellers offloading these, potentially even taking a loss. You know, you look at some of these decks that are on TCG Player for $50, and you wonder how much they had to pay for that deck if the beginning retail price was at $85 or higher. So the month of August for Magic the Gathering has been pretty uneventful. Like, yeah, some people have gotten some really nice pulls out of Commander Masters collector packs, but for the most part, no one really cared, and a lot of product is sitting around. Standard players are just waiting for Wilds of Eldraine to come out next month so that we actually have some new playable cards, like actual new cards that are being added to the game. And so, yeah, there's been quite of a lull, quite of a slump for Magic the Gathering. So let's move on to Pokemon. Surely, you know, the Pokemon Company, they're much better at kind of staggering their sets. It's not too confusing about what a set's gonna be when it releases. With Magic, sometimes there's confusion where, you know, with Commander Masters, people are still asking, like, hey, can I play Standard with these? No, you cannot. Magic has probably too many official formats at this point. And a set that releases with the name Commander on it, you can't play in Standard. Pokemon doesn't do that. Pokemon just releases a set, and they go, yep, these are playable. Some exceptions, like with Celebrations, where they had the Classic Collection at the end, but for the most part, Pokemon's not very confusing. People know what they're getting with Pokemon, and they released a new set, Obsidian Flames. It's got a Charizard in it. It's gonna be popular, right? It's gonna be popular, right? It's got Charizard in it. Yeah, another slump. Another product that's just gonna sit on the shelf for a while. Obsidian Flames, not a very strong set. Artwork-wise, collectability-wise, playability-wise, there's not a lot of like key supporter or trainer cards that are going to see their way into a lot of decks. Poppy is probably the only one that comes to mind. Pidgeot, competitive card. Some old-time players were really excited about Pidgeot because they remember the Fire Red Leaf Green Pidgeot. People are playing it. I don't know that it's going to be a high-level card, though. And then, of course, you have people pulling the big terrestrialized Charizard. That looks pretty cool. But there's not much in that set. I was most excited about Scizor. I thought Scizor was going to be a great rogue deck to run. Turns out, not so much. I was hoping that would push towards anti-ability on cards, just because Chimpow's everywhere and I'm sick of seeing it, so I really wanted to run Scizor and punish that deck. But Scizzor's not really up to the challenge either, and so you have kind of this dud of a product that people really just want. People wanted those Charmander promos more than anything. And, you know, as someone that bought multiple Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, I'm glad that I've left them sealed. Those are keeping their price well, just because of that promo. But otherwise, the product is just like, it's trending downward in price. It's cheaper than the previous 2 Scarlet and Violet sets, despite having a big money card in it, like Terrestrialized Charizard. But again, we have a lull. The people that wanted to go in on Obsidian Flames went in at pre-release, and so when the set fully released, it's booster boxes sitting around. It's not selling out the way that sets used to at the end of Sword and Shield. And this is something I keep trying to remind people of that aren't super familiar with Pokemon blocks, with, you know, people that haven't been playing for a long period of time, is when a Pokemon block begins, usually the first 3 or 4 sets are not very powerful. There's not a whole lot of chase cards in them. There's not a whole lot of power card-wise. So going back to Sword and Shield, if you go back and look at those sets, they're not very good until you hit Battle Styles. And then with Battle Styles, you start seeing this influx of new supporters, trainers, items. Urshifu was king then. People make fun of Battle Styles now just because Urshifu isn't what it used to be. And that was the main draw for that. But from there, you started seeing Fusion Strike. Later on, Silver Tempest. You start getting these sets where every new set has the new best card in it. You go from Urshifu to Mew to Arceus to Lugia to Palkia. You know, all of these shifts that happen. I know I said those out of order, but you know, you get the idea. And we've not hit that with Scarlet and Violet yet. We're just now starting to get into terrestrial types other than the Pokemon's normal type. So there's a lot of fun to be had with these combinations once we get going, but we're not there yet. We're still in the phase of like Rebel Clash where people really don't care. So let's move on to the Bandai TCGs. Battle Spirits is not one I have a lot of experience with. I've not had the opportunity to play it just because product has been so scarce. That's how Bandai usually runs their TCGs. First few sets, very scarce print runs because they want to test the game to make sure people want to play it. Battle Spirits hasn't reached that point yet. One Piece has. Pillars of Strength was a pretty great set that it spiced the game up a little bit. Not enough to really change the metagame, just because red is still way too strong of a color in One Piece. For those that aren't familiar, One Piece that basically has a few dominant decks that are just too fast and too powerful, and so red is the dominant color. Anything else is kind of considered rogue at this point. Even, you know, your big yellow Katakuri decks, they're just not consistent enough. But Pillars of Strength got people excited, and it got people outplaying because that set introduced some different win conditions. I was excited about the new Nami leader just because it added a new win condition to the game, and people have been playing with Nami. It's not an amazing deck, but those types of additions get people excited because it's different styles of play for different types of players. So Pillars of Strength has been exciting for One Piece, but most people are just kind of waiting on next release just because the metagame is starting to get a little bit stale. We're seeing what's going on over in Japan because they're getting their sets pretty far ahead of time. We're seeing how the metagame shifted once they got their 4th set, and that's what we're waiting on for One Piece. Now, Digimon's been in a bit of a lull here for a couple sets, and I'm not as in tune with the competitive scene in Digimon to really know why that is. But I know, again, most of the excitement is more towards September, October. There's some new Digimon sets coming out then that people do have some excitement for. And you can tell that Bandai might have noticed that there's a bit of a lull in the excitement for Digimon. So next structure decks are going to be Metal Garurumon and War Greymon. Fan favorites. It's going to get people on board that haven't played yet. They'll see that and go, oh yeah, I remember those Digimon. Those were some of my favorites back in the day. I could maybe, you know, pick up and play with one of those structure decks. So One Piece and Digimon players kind of holding our breaths for now. Yu-Gi-Oh, the game that I'm able to play the least of all the games that I play. The past few sets have been very similar to that of MTG and Pokemon, where huge shipments come in, people buy it on day one if they want it, and then for the rest of the release window for that product, it's sitting there. Duelist Nexus, people were excited for, you know, half a second, and then once it hit the shelf, the people that wanted it got it. It's been sitting there ever since. With these new Battle City decks, which is part of Speed Duel, I think it got a lot more people excited that are casual players like me. This Speed Duel, the Battle City box, it basically comes with enough for 8 decks and supports a format that is faster and easier to play. You have a 20 to 30 card deck. You can kind of mix and match those cards in there. There's some special promos specific to that box, like Dark Magician Girl. People love Dark Magician Girl. There's a bunch of other staples in there. There's a special Dark Magician that is kind of specific to an anime character, which is, really what that release is geared more towards, is players like me that used to watch the anime, used to play early on, and then dropped off once the game got more complicated, and you had synchros and pendulum monsters and XYZs. That kind of puts people off currently. And so this is a product to where it's like, yeah, if you just want to sit down and have a quick duel with cards that aren't overly complicated, here you go. Here's a nice little box to do that. The problem with that is that they aren't hitting the shelves as early as they should have. In a lot of places, they're missing the release date because distribution done got gummed up by Lorcana. I will try not to go on too long of a tangent about Lorcana. This is a product that I love the artwork on it. By all accounts, I've heard from people that have played it at the pre-release events and the release events. They say it's super fun, that they want more of it, that they're excited about future sets. The product has been hard to find though, just because it's not in full release yet. You can't go to Walmart and buy Lorcana off the shelf just yet. So it's been shipped to LGSs in limited quantity. That has driven the price up in some places. For the LGSs that don't want a price gouge, it's more about, you have to participate in the official events and play all 3 rounds before you can even buy additional product, and even then it's limited to like 1 per player, which is great. I think that's probably the best process about going about this Lorcana business, because Disney adults are their own toxic fandom that is now intermixed with the toxic fandoms of each TCG, and it's been an experience. The biggest issue I really have with Lorcana though isn't the players, it's not the cards, it's not the game itself, it's with the distributor and the publisher, Ravensburger, who before this did great board games. They did the Villainous board game for Disney. Great product, very fun, but they were not ready to print and distribute a TCG. Basically, when LGS has received this product, we had the game rules, we knew how gameplay was supposed to go, but as far as tournaments, they didn't release anything. We didn't know how long rounds were supposed to be. We really didn't know how to settle certain judging situations that came up. It's just like, they basically said, here's the rules for the game, everything else is up to you guys. And so different LGSs have had to come up with different rules, and just going, well, I guess 50 minutes, 55 minutes per round? I don't know. Do we cut to top 8? Don't know. Aside from that, a very concerning thing that I think anyone should be aware of if they're buying Lorcana product is that if you're ordering booster boxes are not shipped in shrink wrap like every other TCG does. You can literally reach into one of these booster boxes and pull out packs without ever breaking the seal. It is very concerning, because what I can already see online sellers doing is pulling all the packs out of a box, or out of multiple boxes, weighing them all, sticking all of the low weight packs back in the same box, and that's the one that gets shipped to a customer. It's real shady, and it happens with other card games already, but the way Lorcana is shipped makes it extremely easy to do this. If Amazon is selling these boxes, I greatly fear for the people receiving them. You should count how many packs are in there when you receive your box, because I anticipate people, just slipping in there, pulling out a pack or 2, because you can. It's more of Ravensburger not really fully researching what they needed to do to print and distribute this type of product. And it may just be growing pains, but what that says to me, and what this entire release has said to me, what the product line in general has said, is that this isn't something Disney plans on supporting long term. And I'm not trying to discourage anyone from playing the game, because if it's a fun game, it should be played. If you love Disney and you want to collect these artworks, you absolutely should. But I look at Disney's track history of Disney Infinity figures, where they cashed in on the figures to life market for a few years. And then when they saw where that market was heading, where it's like, yeah, people don't buy as many amiibos anymore, people don't buy Skylanders as much, they jumped ship. And they didn't support Disney Infinity anymore, even though I kind of like the art style of those figures they were producing, even though I never played the game. Same thing with Tsum Tsums. Anybody remember Tsum Tsums? They were all the rage for about 2 years. They were wanting those little bean bags. They wanted the Star Wars ones, the Marvel ones, the Disney ones. They could line them all up and stack them. They were on Marvel Comics covers. There were mobile games. People were really into Tsum Tsums at the time. And then Disney saw where the market was going. It's like, okay, well, people don't care about plush as much. We've sold as much of these as we're going to. If we keep printing them, the amount is going to continue to decrease. And they kind of saw what was going on with Funkos. People loved Funkos. People still love Funkos. But when you have tens of thousands of different Funkos, people have to get choosy about which ones they're going to buy, and they end up not buying as many because of that. And I think that's part of what Disney saw with Tsum Tsums is part of the market share with Funko, and that the longer they made them, the less they would sell, and they got out. It's a good business decision, but it's not good for people that wanted to collect Tsum Tsums long term. And hopefully I'm proven wrong. Hopefully Lorcana takes off, and people that enjoy the game are able to enjoy it for a long time. People that are going in on day one or even at pre-releases and getting these cards so they can collect them and hang on to them for a while, I hope they get the value out of these cards. It's just, to me, personal opinion, I don't think Disney's going to support this game for more than a few years. Okay, that was a long rant, and I apologize for that, but that's where I'm at with TCGs for the month of August. It's currently August 27th, so I'm looking forward to September. September, October has a lot of hype around it. The people that have not been spending money in the month of August, I salute you. Because same. I look at all the product that's come out this month, and I'm just like, not for me. And that's a good thing, because I can save my money for September, because Wilds of Eldraine is going to be amazing for Standard. Standard is my Magic format. I know nobody plays Standard anymore, but it's what I've been playing since the beginning. Magic the Gathering was Standard format for a long time. Before Commander came to town, before there were Planeswalkers, there was only Standard. That was the name of the game. So I stick with that. I think Wilds of Eldraine is going to be amazing for that. On the 22nd of September, we have Pokemon 151 dropping. 151 is going to be crazy. I think a lot of people are going to be going in on it. But I also think the Pokemon Company knows that, and they are printing to demand. I think 151 is going to be a heavily printed set. So the price of product should stay stable. Price of singles should stay stable. So if you're pre-ordering, keep that in mind. Don't overpay for the product, because it's going to be available. Don't overpay on pre-ordering singles. This is a product that's going to be opened a ton. So the price of singles will spike just before release, and then as far as I can apply my knowledge of how the singles market goes, those prices are steadily going to go down over time. Just look at what happened with Celebrations. You can get those cards so cheap now compared to the way they were on release day, or even a week after release. Also on September 22nd, for One Piece, Kingdoms of Intrigue, which is going to be a huge set, because like I said earlier, we in the West have been looking at the Japanese tournament scene and going, oh my god, these Kingdoms cards are incredible. There's multiple new deck archetypes that are coming out of their Don Quixote family. Rebecca's going to be a great leader. Personally excited about the new Queen card. And then that going forward, Digimon has a nice release in October. Gearing up, going into fourth quarter. I think all the companies know, it's you go hard in fourth quarter. You release your best stuff because people are going to pick it up for Christmas. Your flashiest stuff, get it on the shelf, repackage it in gift sets. Looking at you, Wizards of the Coast, and your second release of Lord of the Rings for Christmas. You get all the product out there. You run your big sales to get rid of some of the older product that's been sitting around. Your more Pico V Union collections, your Hisuian Electrode collections, your Commander Masters decks that are just going to be sitting on the shelf for the next couple of months. That's what we're looking forward to. August has been a slump, and I think a lot of these companies had kind of planned for that. Obsidian Flames, didn't have a lot of heat in it, despite the name. Commander Masters was a disappointment. Bandai players have really just been waiting on the next big thing, kind of biding our time. And we're going to get that. We're going to be ramping up pretty soon. And so I look forward to doing another one of these videos probably around this time next month, just to see how everything has played out. To see if Wilds of Eldraine has had as much of an impact on Magic the Gathering as a whole as I'd hoped. To see what Kingdoms of Intrigue has added to the One Piece game. To see how this release of Pokemon 151 actually goes. So if you're an enjoyer of multiple TCGs like I am, please let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you're excited about, where your disappointments have been. Have you felt the TCG slump of August 2023? And if you're not a multi-TCG kind of person, let me know down in the comments why that is. Why is it you only stick to one TCG? And what would it take to convince you to pick up another one? Or perhaps several more? I thank you so much for watching. I appreciate anything anyone does on the channel, whether it's a like, whether it's a comment, whether you're just doing the bell or, whatever good YouTubers are supposed to say. I appreciate you watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you next video.